the most expensive tree that we have ever sold at our nursery was like $20,000. But the most expensive tree that has ever sold in the world, it was sold for like $1.3 million.
Amazon is such a great place, but the game is to get reviews.
Being an entrepreneur is like digging for gold. You know, you have to remove the overburden first. And you don't know how close you are to the gold layer.
What is your ranking of marketplaces that sell the most? I would say first is Home Depot. Thank you so much for being here in the Millionaire Mike's podcast. So I'm so happy to have you guys because we know each other since like 3 years and you are the first couple that we have on the podcast. So it's really cool. And I want you to explain to us, how did you build what you built? We're going to come to that very quickly. And like, what are the difficulties and the success that you have? So first, present yourself. Ladies first, of course.
Well, my name is Mariannjely Marval, and I'm Jerome's wife, the brand manager of the Bonsai Supply.
And I am Jerome Kellerhals. I am the bonsai artist. So it's my fault that we started the business. And thank you for having us on the podcast today.
That's so nice. So it's really interesting because you made a business out of his passion, that is bonsai. So
Right.
how did you get into bonsai? And then how did you get into this business? Because you could be like, oh, I'm not interested in that, you know?
Right. So the business happened by accident, first of all. And the way that I got into bonsai, I feel like I have been doing bonsai for as long as I can remember. Like when I grew up in Switzerland, I was born and raised, and I could always see my mom in the backyard. She was doing bonsai, so I always saw her going out into the backyard, working on her trees. And so naturally, because she never introduced it to me, she never said, come, let's go work on my tree. You know, she just went out there. I think she went out there to get away from us. And so I saw her out there. She was so peaceful. I was like, I can't have her be that peaceful.
Yeah.
So I went out there too. And I was like, what are you doing? You know, and she was like, oh, you know, this and that. And so that's how I slowly got into it. And that's how my passion grew. And so I learned by doing bonsai with her, I found out that she learned bonsai when she used to live in Japan. So when she was 21 years old, she
Wow.
traveled around the world. And that's like, you know, we're talking about like in the 70s.
Yeah.
She did a world trip on her own when she was about 21 years old, ended up in Japan. She ran out of money, so she had to work. Back then, you didn't need a work visa or anything like that.
That was beautiful.
So she worked actually at a bonsai nursery during the day, and at night she worked at a restaurant. And so that's how she got introduced into bonsai, and then she introduced it to me.
So it's a family business, kind of.
It's a family passion. It's a
Yeah.
family passion. And so as you know, being from France,
Yeah.
everything is small in Europe. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
backyards are small. So we had very small trees and nothing too professional or fancy. So the passion didn't really start to grow on me like professionally until I moved to the United States, specifically when I got to Florida.
Yeah.
All the backyards are huge. The weather is amazing. So that's when I started to really get into bonsai. And within about a year, I had maybe one tree, and within a year, I had 150 trees.
Oh my God.
And when you think of bonsai, my trees were not this size. My trees were like 4 feet tall.
All right.
And you needed like 2 to 3 big men to move these trees. They're like 200 pounds, 4 or 5 feet tall. They're humongous. So I had 150 of those
That's crazy.
trees. And so that's how I met her. Like
That's not how you met
that's not
me.
how I met you, but that's how you met me, being in bonsai.
But yeah, so when we met, I was in school and I was doing business. I was doing my MBA, and he introduced me to his backyard. And I was just like, first I was impressed that someone will have that many trees and
Yeah.
that much care and so being so passionate about something. So that first, like right off the bat, I was like, I like that about this guy. Besides, he had a dog, and that really
Connects.
closed the deal.
That's
Yeah,
sealed
yeah.
the deal, yeah.
I was just like, I mean, this is really cute. So while I started spending time with him, I didn't know anything about bonsai, anything. I didn't even watch Karate Kid or whatever is the movie that everyone
Right.
always references.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to it. I got very into it. I did my own research, and then he started importing pottery for bonsai.
Well,
Okay.
let's back up a minute. So when I started doing bonsai in Florida, and right around the time when I met her, I needed to get a lot of supplies for my trees because I had 150
Yeah.
trees. So I needed to get bigger containers. I needed more tools, more wire, more soil. And back then, the internet was not that big on bonsai. Like it did not exist. You could not order a bonsai pot online 12 years ago. It
Yeah.
just wouldn't work. So we had one local shop, and when I met her, I took her to that local shop, and he was importing pottery from China, but he was so rude, such a bad businessman. And every time we left, we're like, it's unbelievable that this guy is the only guy in town that sells bonsai supplies, and he's so rude, and we have nowhere else to go to buy these supplies, you know? And he must be doing a big business because every time we went, there were like 30 or 40 people there. So we were like, this guy must be doing something right. So finally, after maybe a couple months, I got so upset and I was like, you know what? I'll just go to China myself, travel from Shanghai to Beijing
Wow.
with my backpack. And I was like 26 years old at this point. And I'm just going to import my own stuff. I don't want to give this guy any more money. I don't want to support his business because it's so rude.
Which year was it?
Which year?
Yeah.
That was in 2015 when I
Yeah,
decided
so
to
like
go to China.
AliExpress, Alibaba was not that big to find supplier pretty fast. right?
Exactly. No, you could not. Like you could find like toilet paper, toothbrush, like commodity things, but not a specialty like bonsai. So I actually had to go, and I didn't even get a translator. Like it was a mess.
He wanted to travel too, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Big excuse.
So I bought a bunch of supplies. I shipped them back on a pallet. You had to order a minimum of one pallet
Yeah, of
in
course.
order for them to ship it back. I came back to the United States. I told her, hey, I have a pallet coming, but it's way too much just for myself. Let me spread the word, you know, amongst like the clubs and just tell them like, hey, I have a lot of supplies coming. I'll share with you guys. And so I did. The pallet arrived. We told people they arrived in the driveway of the house, and
Which
the
is,
pallet.
I don't think it was legal, by the way.
No, it was definitely
We
not
definitely
legal.
had
No,
the
no,
HOA
no.
really looking at us like, what? Why is there a container? Like it was like a 20-foot container.
So the first pallet arrived on like a regular like a UPS truck.
Yeah.
And so the story goes that we sold out immediately. And so I looked at her and I was like, well, now I don't have anything again. So let me take the money from the first pallet and order 3 pallets, you know?
Yeah.
So then these people told other people. So now we had 3 pallets arrive. Again, instead of 10 people, 30 people showed up. We sold out everything.
That's awesome.
So I started to get upset. I was like, man, I'm ordering this stuff for myself. And then she was like, dummy, like this could be a business, you know? Like we could start to turn this into a business.
Because wait, you were selling like with a profit or like break even?
we were doing a little bit of a profit.
Okay, but that was not the goal initially.
It wasn't
was
the
not the
goal.
goal,
I mean,
no.
the goal was to actually have pottery for himself.
For myself.
For his 150 trees.
Yes.
And then we had friends that also, well, that they were doing bonsai too, or they needed tools too, and they also didn't want to deal with the other guy.
Yeah.
So they were all like, yes, we'll buy it from you. So we were just like, yeah, paying it off. You know, we're like, okay, we're making a little bit of money.
So the
Kind of paying off your own pottery.
Exactly.
So it wasn't like,
Exactly.
a business.
We went from 1 pallet to 3 to 10 to a 20-foot container, a 40-foot container,
That's crazy.
2 40-foot containers, 3, 4. And so we did this out of our house in the backyard. We built a little warehouse and everything where we could store the pottery.
Yeah.
And then it just exploded from there, one day to the next. And so the moral of the story is that if you have a business and you think you're the only one in town, you better make sure that you deliver, you know, like you're the friendliest person in town.
That's true.
Because otherwise, people like us come in, you know, and they see it. And you're like, how can this guy be in business? He's so rude, like so not welcoming, right?
Yeah.
And so we took this guy as like our, of what not to do. And we did the complete opposite. He didn't offer coffee. We started offering coffee. You come to shop at our warehouse, we served you coffee, you know?
Yeah.
Like we talked to you, we showed you the catalog and all that stuff. So that's what really exploded the business at that point.
And what is cool also is that you initially did that for passion, not for profit. And
Exactly.
I see a lot of people, like when I try to teach people, they're like, what is the business that's going to make me the most money? I'm like, your passion.
Right.
If you're passionate, you don't care about the money. Of course, we all want more money, right? Like, of course. But if you don't do for the wrong reason, you're going to be better than the average person, like your competitor. You know, because maybe he was not passionate enough, he didn't care, it was just like just a job for him, you know, when it was your true passion.
Right. I think if you chase money, you're going to have a hard time and you're going to get depressed really quickly. If you chase your passion, money comes automatically because people feed off of your passion. They can see how passionate you are, and then they want to give you money for it.
For sure.
Well, you know, so to speak, they want to buy from you because now they're like, man, I like what this guy says, you know?
Yeah.
Every time I go to see Jerome and Mari, I feel good, you know? They help me load my van, like they have a catalog, you know, they offer me coffee. It's the little things.
Okay.
And so we treated our customers, we put them first, you know? Like, hey, what do you want us to import next, you know? Oh, I really want to see pink pottery, you know? We don't like pink pottery, but you like pink pottery. So we're going to get you pink pottery, you know? And so, yeah.
Well, back to the passion, of course. I mean, that's the driving force of every business because there's so many ways to make money.
Yeah,
There's
for
so
sure.
many ways to make money.
Absolutely.
So you have to choose what you're passionate about because when you are an entrepreneur, you go from, like, if you're a regular employee and then you want to be an entrepreneur, you go out from a 9 to 5 to a 24/7. Like, you don't
Yes.
have a
Yes.
schedule, you don't have. So it's funny sometimes when some friends are like, I really want to be an entrepreneur and I can have more flexibility. And I'm like, yes, at some point. But when you're building in, you are actually working so much, so much more than you will be working for somebody else. So you definitely have to take that commitment. And if you're going to see that 24/7, better be something that you are passionate about. Because otherwise you're going to be torturing yourself.
Yeah, and also when you do something for money, I realized that like a lot of my clients, when they were doing things for the money, as soon as the money don't come out, they stop. Because they do that for the money, but if the money don't come out, that's what you said, like you can be depressed very fast and you can do like, the only thing you can do is stop and give up, right?
You know, being an entrepreneur is like digging for gold. You know, you have to remove the overburden first.
Yeah.
And you don't know how close you are to the gold layer. And so the more that you remove, right, the deeper you go, the more depressing you become because you're like, damn, look at all this. I have done all this, but it has not paid off.
Yeah.
So if, like you said, if you don't follow your passion, if you're not passionate for real estate, you're going to fail eventually because you're going to lose that drive. And you're so close to the gold, it's going to come. You just got to keep going. The first 5-6 years were miserable for us. Like, it was awful, you know? Like, 2 kids trying to build this business and, like, money is stretched thin, and a lot of things went wrong. It's all great when it goes well.
Yes.
But it doesn't go well right off the beginning.
I mean,
until
I think
you're
that
established.
the first year of a business, if you are passionate about it, is amazing because you're so excited about every single step that you take. And everything is just like, oh my God, you're enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
And of course, then things start to get more about like, a little bit about, okay, but I need to start making money, right? So it gets a little more of pressure on that side. But that's when, coming back to the passion, if you are not really, you are not going to be in the long term for it if you are just chasing the money. Because it's like, I don't even think you have to chase money. At some point, it's gonna come. Like, you're gonna attract it. You don't chase, you attract. And we learned that little by little every year. We were adapting to whatever, you know, like new things were coming out. So we're like, oh, we have to. And the pandemic came around, and that was a big turnaround for us to be like, what's next? How can we turn this around?
Yeah.
So now, 7 years for us. Like, I think the 7th year was like, oh my gosh, like now it's like zero concerns, is working. It's making money. Like, before there's a lot of like investing back into the business. Like you're making money, but you also have to spend money. To make money, you have to spend money.
Yeah, you have to feed your company before feeding you.
Yeah,
Absolutely, and that's difficult.
Growth is
very
great,
difficult.
but growth comes with a lot of expenses too.
Yes.
So we're like, we're growing fast. We have to keep up with this. We have to put so much. There was like cash flow situation. So.
And like what we learned on very early on in the business was that we had to adapt all the time. Like we thought like we're gonna do it this way, but then things happen and you have to adapt. If you don't learn how to adapt, then you're in big trouble. Like we started importing pottery, right? And then she was like, hey, like people really love talking to us, let's start to teach how to do bonsai so that people then can keep their trees alive, and they're going to be happy to then buy more trees, which means they're going to buy more pottery, right? And so we started doing that out of our living room, teaching classes.
Awesome.
That went really well. So we were let's open up a nursery.
Early on, I was just like, how can we scale this? Everything has to be about education. Like, not many people know what bonsai is. Not many people, like, we have to introduce it. So by then, social media wasn't as big. There was YouTube was like the biggest thing.
Yes.
So we're like, let's open a YouTube channel. Let's see if people are interested to know more about that. And he started teaching. We started doing YouTube videos, and then Groupon was also like big at that time. I was using Groupon all the time for whatever activity, and I was like, how cool would it be to do like a day night of creating bonsai trees together or with a group? So we started posting on Groupon and doing it. Well, we did it once in our house, the very first one, and then I was like, no, let's partner with art studios. So we actually had different art studios that we were renting and doing the classes there for specific dates. And little by little, we were growing until opening our own space.
Our own store. But as you can see, I was the passion, she was the brains of the operation.
That's awesome.
And together we were a perfect match. Because if you only have passion, but you don't have an understanding of business, it's going to be difficult. And if you only have an understanding of business, but you don't have that passion, your followers, they can read that off of you immediately, right?
Definitely.
So that was a really good match. And so we opened then a nursery. Everything was going well until the pandemic. Because now all of a sudden, the container prices went from $3,000, a container landed, to $30,000.
Yeah.
From $3,000 to $30,000 overnight. So all of a sudden, that side of the business was no longer feasible. We couldn't do it any longer. So we had to drop that off immediately. Because how can you justify it, right? We would have to up the prices of the pottery times
10.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
And then we also couldn't keep the nursery open anymore because customers couldn't come to the store. We didn't want to expose our employees to that because we didn't know it was so early on. But the key factor of our business was that maybe like 3 or 4 months before the pandemic, we started to show our soil that we made ourselves on YouTube, not with the intention of selling it, but our followers were like, what is that soil that you're using?
Where can I get it?
Where can I get it? And so little by little, we're like, man, maybe we should offer that too, And we didn't want to be soil people. So we offered the soil and it started to go really well. And so we offered it on Amazon. The pandemic happened. We had to close down the importing, the nursery, and then we pivoted.
That's
so
awesome.
we put all of our energy and all of our resources into soil. And so that's when we realized, because when we had the importing business and the store, we had like 1,000 SKUs.
Yeah.
And that was so difficult. And then we went from 1,000 SKUs down to about 6 SKUs. Because now it's easy to manage 6 SKUs. And we can make 6 SKUs look amazing. Like we can focus on them. Make sure it's the best quality, the best packaging. Create a story around those 11 SKUs. And so that's when it really took off for us.
And so that's very smart. Like what we say, like anything happens for a reason. Absolutely. So that's awesome. But yeah, at the end, you have like less trouble doing the soul. It's more profitable, I guess.
Yes.
And it's easier to scale because you go on marketplaces, right?
And everybody needs it.
And everybody needs
there's
it.
There's only so many pots that you can get. There's only so many trees that you can get. But soil, you need it constantly. You need it every year. You need to repot your trees.
Yeah.
So we were like, this is starting to look better and better and better because there's no shelf life.
Yeah.
Trees have a shelf life. You got to keep them alive.
Yeah.
The pots, we have to import them. They also they can break. So
That's true, yeah.
that was very difficult. But then the soil was like an aha moment. And we never thought of like, would anybody buy bonsai soil? Like, like what? And then our customers told us what they wanted and we listened. And then we just, at this point, when we realized, oh, these people want it, there's a market for it, we were like, how can we make it more accessible for them? Like, I want bonsai soil, I want it today. Where can I get it today? Well, we cannot have nurseries everywhere. Well, but who's everywhere? Well, Home Depot is everywhere.
Yeah.
Lowe's is everywhere.
Yeah.
Walmart is everywhere. Amazon, you can get it within 2 days. So that's when we looked at those outlets and we're like, we got to be strategically partnering with these guys because they can help us to be everywhere. And then it's accessible for everyone.
And so how did you start? Because, yes, Amazon, like, I know a lot of things about marketplaces. I love that. But how, for people that don't know, how do you start? Because you put your product on Amazon, but then the first sale. Did you drive your traffic through your YouTube channel to Amazon to make the first sale and then, push the product?
So I actually went to an Amazon course. That was like 3 days. It was in Miami.
Okay.
You found it. I don't know how you found it on like Facebook or something like that. And so I went, I took the course, and it was very insightful. I learned so much. And so when I came back from that course, we started to strategize. And we're like, well, getting eyes on the product is going to be very expensive marketing wise. And so she was then like, well, we have a big following already on YouTube, on Instagram. Let's just start to use our products in our videos, right? And then like, what was your thought? And then like reroute them to Amazon to drive traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon is such a great place, but the game is to get reviews.
Yes.
Clearly,
Get reviews. So for us, that was like our focus the first year, to make sure that our brand looks as good, like our listing is as clear and as catchy as it can be. The pictures are, top notch.
Yes.
We, professional pictures. We make videos. We make sure to see like the right keywords, getting all those reviews. Like that's the game for it. I would say the first year you have to focus so much.
Yes.
And most likely you won't make any money really in the first year of Amazon.
Yeah, of course. You
Especially
kind
if
of
you're starting a new listing. Yeah.
Yeah, you pay for the reviews kind of.
Yeah. So
Right.
we were able to just in the quality make sure that your product is top quality because that's what is going to help your reviews. So we focused the first year reviews, and little by little we just had then our product was Amazon choice. And then it was, in the first page. And then, of course, we were also spending more in ads and things like that to carry the traffic towards there. But
something that was a key factor in especially the marketing part of Amazon, we started to realize at what time of the day we get a lot of traffic. Like, we started to look at the sales and we're like, at what time of the day do we get the most amount of sales? And it turns out for us, it was in the morning when everybody was at work. Go figure. So when people go to work, when they arrive at work, instead of starting at their job, they're ordering bonsai soil. So I was like, so let's just turn on our marketing like maybe 10 minutes before that so that we're always on the first page. And so we started to measure that. And then we were like, oh, we get a second boost of sales at this point of the day.
Yeah.
Again, when people are at work.
Of course.
People should work.
Yeah.
So from like after lunchtime, that's when the sales started again. From like 2 to 4. So that's when we started the market again. And so that's when we started to.
I mean, all those pages or even social media has analytics. So and those are free tools that you can just really use to your advantage. So we use that for sure.
Yes.
Plus our product is it's a niche industry, right?
Yes.
It's like that's why we wanted to focus on education and bring in more so people can know more about it. And the main thing is that bonsai soil, is very specific, and you actually have to know that the bonsai trees needs a different soil than a plant soil.
Yes.
That was like the first thing that we were like, we need to make sure people they're they are growing bonsai, they know that they need a different soil, because that was the first thing that we realized. Everyone thinks black soil is what they have to use.
Like that black potting soil that you
Yeah,
use for
yeah.
gardening, you know.
So
Yeah.
It's not good for bonsai trees. So we had
exactly,
to
we had to
make sure they understand.
education was key for us to scale the business. And then, as I said, we didn't have that many competitors, which it also helped out. You know, like we're in a niche industry, and we had few competitors, and we're like, how can we make it better than them?
Right.
And our product was different as well. Like our mix is different than the other competitors. So we were like, oh, we have something unique to show, and they works, because people were also posting, you know, their trees is like, oh, it really works. My tree is so happy now. We were making videos where you can see all of our trees have the soil mix. So we wanted to give the brand some reputation and some like it works. It's not just, you know, the word by the soil.
Yeah. I
And
get
then,
it.
like, we also started to realize that inventory is such a big key factor when you sell on Amazon, because it doesn't, like, we can tackle anybody at this point on Amazon because we know the inventory. And the big guys, when they run out of inventory, the customers still want to buy because they still want their
course.
soil.
Yeah.
So they go to the competitor, to the next person. And so that's when we realized, oh, when this person sells out, that's when we get a lot of foot traffic. So how can we make sure that we don't make our customers, when we run out of inventory, go to the next person? How can we retain them? Inventory. So there was a lot of aha factors, you know.
Of course.
How can we make it more, how can we make it easier? How can we send it quicker and faster? And that's why having 11 products is much better than having 100. But make sure these 11 products are top notch, you know.
course.
Like our packaging is made from recycled materials. So, you know, like when they clean up the ocean and they pull out all of that plastic,
Yeah.
our bags are made from that material. Okay. And so we have a story now to add to the soil. People love it. We feel good about it.
That's the most important, that feel
Absolutely.
proud about your product. And also coming to drive traffic over there. Like, do you, with your social media, get and collect the emails for your business and then to send them? Because it's also good, you know, when you have a business, to get the email. That's
Absolutely.
the downside of Amazon. It's very hard to get the email. You have strategies, right? But it's like they don't want to give them their customers.
I understand why they do it, because as a customer, I hate when I get emails.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to, when I want to buy something, I'm going to come look for it. I don't want you to send me a coupon
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
come and then have me think like, oh, now that it's 20% off, now I want it, you know?
Yeah.
So Amazon is very smart about that, I think. But we did collect emails like through our websites.
Yeah.
So what we would do initially is send the traffic from social media to our website, and then on our website have direct links to Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, and Lowe's. And then you as a customer, you can decide where you want to shop. Like if you have a Home Depot credit card, right, and you don't use it a lot, you're like, oh, you know what? I want to start using it again. So I'm going to shop on Home Depot.
Yeah.
And so going from our website, you click on Home Depot, and voila, like you like to say it, all the products are right there. Make it as easy as possible for the customer. And like I'm a big Amazon guy. I like to buy stuff on Amazon because it's a one-click process. I don't like to shop on the websites, although I know, you know, you support the business more by shopping directly, but there's so many steps involved.
I know.
And as a society, we're getting lazier and lazier. And so the one step, click, makes it more convenient.
Okay, now let me guess. I'm going to guess because it's so
Guess.
right. I'm going to try to guess what is your ranking of marketplaces that sell the most. I would say first is Home Depot. Wait, let me finish. Then Amazon,
Okay.
then Walmart, and then Lowe's.
Okay, that's a good guess.
It's not that.
No. You do it.
So Amazon is number one for us.
Makes sense.
And it's the first one that we actually went in, I'll have to say.
Yeah.
In fact, for you to get to Lowe's or to Home Depot, they want actually proof that you can sell things.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Amazon helped us to get into Home Depot and Lowe's.
Oh, interesting.
So, and Home Depot, we only been there for 2 years now.
2 years.
Yeah, I remember we were on a call when he was like telling me that he was struggling to get on Home Depot
It
because
was the most
It
difficult
is
thing.
hard to get a Home Depot, and as I said, Amazon really helped to prove that we can sell.
Yeah.
on
But
Home
also
Depot.
think that way, people go nowadays to Amazon instead of to Google when
Yes,
they want to find a
yes.
product. So we knew we had to be there for sure. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah, it's
have
the-
to
it's
be
the
there.
biggest.
It's the biggest by far.
Yeah.
And then second is Home Depot, third is Lowe's, and then fourth is Walmart.
oh, okay,
Because Walmart is not our.
main target.
Well,
It's not
Lowe's-
about the target. It's more like the people, I guess, that shop at Walmart don't do bonsai, it seems, or not as much.
I mean, Lowe's
So-
and Walmart were pretty new in there, so we haven't really given that much time. Like we just got there last year.
Lowe's just got last year, and
So-
Walmart too.
And they, yeah, I would say people in the gardening industry, they will probably go Home Depot or Amazon.
That's why I said first because
also-
Home Depot is more like centered and niche. That's why I said first, but
have
it makes
you-
sense.
Have you been to a Walmart garden center lately?
Never.
There are. Every Walmart has a
Some
garden
of them.
center, but they're always empty. They're locked
Yeah.
up.
It's not
You
known
cannot
for that.
enter into the garden center. You have to go through the main entrance and then walk around. And so, when you think of gardening, you would never go to Walmart as your first choice. You go
Yeah.
to either Home Depot or Lowe's, whichever one is closest to you.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. No, that makes sense. And did you think that the bonsai niche got bigger and bigger over the years?
Thankfully, yes.
That's
So
cool.
we were at we are one of the pioneers in bonsai business. Not in the art form, because there's been a lot of people that has done it before us, but definitely in business, making it available, and also social media wise.
More about product wise, because there's a lot of nurseries, like
Yeah.
bonsai nurseries, and they're selling the trees, and they're
Right.
creating their own soil, just like we were doing, but they're not really selling soil, you know. So we're definitely one of the first like bonsai brands of like products such as soil and fertilizer.
Yeah, and it was very helpful that right at the pandemic, when people were looking for something new to do,
They were
they
were doing
came
gardening.
across.
Yeah, they
That's
were.
true.
They came across gardening, and I mean, there's no cooler thing than if you can have a miniature tree, like in a little container.
Yeah.
You know that there's no cooler thing
Yeah.
for me. Like, do you want to grow tomatoes or do you want to grow a bonsai tree? You want to grow a bonsai tree because it's cool. You know.
You're good
And
salesman.
You know, and funny enough, is like gardening is a lot of women involved, like
That's true.
female hobby, but bonsai is actually
That's true.
85% men.
That's interesting.
That's true. That's very true.
So it was interesting to see how, you know, that gardening section of like, yes, this is a manly hobby somehow.
Right.
So, and I kept seeing, like, when we first started with the YouTube channel, there were some other YouTube content creators that we actually met. We did a lot of like networking during that year. We met every single content creator. We collaborated with them. So that was fun and great. And then we saw, you know, TikTok came around, and so many people started also making content on TikTok, on Instagram. We were watching Cobra Kai, which is
Right.
a huge show on Netflix. They are doing bonsai. You know,
Right.
they mentioned bonsai. We started watching movies. Oh, look at the bonsai there! Like, it's
Why
crazy.
did I
It's
look
everywhere.
outside when you said that? I was like, oh.
Oh, the only thing we always see is that they always do the bonsai trees. They put the bonsai trees in
Indoors,
the
yeah.
offices, and we're like, there you go again. Someone is gonna kill a tree
That's true.
because
Yeah.
they think they can have it indoors, which is another conversation. But yeah, we see that on social media. We see that on the movies. So it definitely has grew so much.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And for some people that don't realize how bonsai can be huge, and when I mean huge, it's like expensive. What is like the most expensive bonsai that you sold?
So bonsai is like with everything. You can do it on the cheap, or you can do it
Yes,
very expensive.
I know.
The most expensive tree that we have ever sold at our nursery was like $20,000. But the most expensive tree that has ever sold in the world was in Japan, and it was sold for like $1.3 million.
That's insane.
So there's an open ceiling, right? So you can. Obviously, we recommend if you want to get into bonsai, start with a $30 tree.
Yeah.
Keep it alive. don't get a $30,000 tree because
That's
you
true.
will kill it if that's your first tree. You know,
For
this
sure.
is what happens. So
No, but it's very interesting to know the range because some people like randomly someone behind the camera didn't know that, as you can see.
No idea
So,
they were that expensive.
oh yeah,
They can be.
so it's that it's very interesting. I remember the first time you told me, like when I visit at your place, you were like, "Oh yeah, this one will cost $2,000." I'm like, "What?" Like I have no idea. You know, that's why it's very important to enlighten what it could be. Now I want to go on the hot topic.
oh god.
How is it to work with your wife, and you? How is it to work with your husband? As you mentioned before, when everything goes not as good as planned, it's where you need to show that it's real love, you
Right.
know? Because I feel relationships are hard, but when
Yes.
you work with your loved one, you have like way more like topics to get rid of those people, you know? So how did you manage to do that? And was it stressful? And when I mean stressful, it's like, did it bring like a lot of fights, or you were always like, it's fine, it's just business, it's not a personal life? Like, how did you dissociate the both, you know?
Why don't you answer this one first?
All right, let's say. I think at the beginning, there's a lot of like, let's put boundaries and let's see what are you in charge of, what I'm in charge of. Because at the beginning, there was
That's
a lot.
very important.
There was a lot of like, he will be in my business, I will be in his business.
Oh, I
a
like
little bit.
that. That's so good.
And he would be just like, okay, we need to figure it out. We need to figure it out.
Yes.
Who's doing what, and who's gonna, obviously the big decisions we both talk about and we decide together what to do. But like there were things that were like, the artistry. I had nothing to do there. Like that's what you say. It is
Right.
what it is because you know about that. If I had some suggestions for marketing or something, then you are okay with it because I've been working on that. I know about that. So we started to trust each other. I think the most important part is to have that communication and to trust that the other one is doing their job fine, and you don't need to be over managing everything. And I guess I said that for myself. I definitely am a little bit of a control freak.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
So we learn how to work together. That was just like at the beginning. That's the first thing to learn how are we gonna make this partnership work as professional. And then I think later on when it gets hard with like finances and things like that, we were lucky enough, I would say, that if he will be stressed out, like he's like, I don't know, this is too much, let's just go to our regular jobs, like
we need
let's
to
forget
file for
about this.
bankruptcy,
He filed for bankruptcy at least 10
Oh, yeah.
times
more like
in
15.
his head.
I'm
So-
very dramatic, European. You know?
I know.
And I will be just like, no, it's fine. Like, let's rearrange. Let's see what we have to, like, yeah, maybe this month we have to work on, I don't know, we can save here, and we can use this money here. Like, let's plan,
Right.
And I am a little more of a relaxing in that thing. Like I'm always like, trust is gonna work out, and he's just like, no, how can I just trust it's gonna work out?
So what she's
So-
trying to say is that we had our moments at opposite times.
Yeah.
So there was always a pillar of strength there. Who was
Somebody
like,
had to stay. We
say
can
what
do
you want to
this.
say. Like, I'm here to listen, but like,
Yeah,
take it
calm down,
easy.
yeah.
And like, there's been so many times, especially at the beginning, where I was like Googling how to file for bankruptcy because I was at that point and I was very dramatic. But then all of a sudden I wake up the next morning to 4 orders, in wholesale,
Yeah,
4
yeah,
big
yeah.
orders. And I'm like, oh my God, So like working with your partner is a double-edged sword, right? Because on one hand, there's nobody that you can trust more than your partner. She's not going to screw me over, right? Because we're in this together.
Yeah.
If you have a business partner, you never know what he's up to, right? And so that's the good part of it, right? But at the same time, you are doing this together 24/7. So if you want to become an entrepreneur with your spouse or your partner, it's going to be difficult, and because you're going to be doing this 24/7 together. And so all of a sudden you realize for breakfast, you talk about business. At lunch, you talk about business. Dinner, you talk about business. You lay in bed before you go to sleep, you talk about business. Like you're on the way to a doctor's appointment, your partner comes with you because once again, you're talking about business.
I know, yeah.
So you're in the waiting room talking about business, you know? So
Yeah, it's hard to separate things sometimes and to find the space and the time for each other. So that was for sure one of the things that we were like, okay, we need to figure it out how to have a day where or some hours where it's just like no more business talk.
right.
Let's just talk about life or something else.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
We needed to have open and closing hours.
That's true.
So we stopped talking at 5 o'clock. We turned it off. But we were able to do that at year number 7 because we were more established. Things
a
were more
process.
automated at that point. So at 5 o'clock we were able to turn off, and like she said, she was in charge of marketing, customer relationship. I was more in charge at this point than with Home Depot, Amazon, Lowe's, with that relationship, you know. So we didn't go into each other's pool. So if somebody would reach out to me on social media, I would reroute them to her, you know.
Yeah.
And vice versa, you know. So
And I think it's good to take a step back and see what you have accomplished because I felt that for so long we were in this auto mode of like work, 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 work. And then we were accomplishing so many things. And we were like, oh my gosh, like, you know, we got approached. We wrote during the pandemic for a publishing deal. We wrote a book. Like we did so many things that were just like, he's been awarded so many times. He has written magazines, international magazines, like but that has just come really fast for us that we're just like the next task. Oh, we have to write a book. Okay, write a book. We have to do we got, you know, like everything was just like quick. So when we actually stop a little bit and slow down and we're like, wow, look at what we have accomplished, we were like, oh my God, it was worth it. And we were like, you know, this is great. So it's good to slow down a little bit and just see the little progress, because sometimes it's just not like the end of the at the end of the day, like, oh, how many orders I have, how much money I made. But then you're just like, oh my gosh, I made so many connections in the meantime. I learned so much about the business. You know, I been recognized in many places. So it's just, besides the sales and the money, there was a work that really paid off for us. And we were just not realizing for the longest time because we were just work.
I think also one of the biggest things that came actually from her that really helped us grow faster and better than anybody else was to not be in competition with anybody else. And that came from her. Because at the beginning, you know, I was in competition with everybody, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, this guy sells that, I also have to sell that. But then she kind of started teaching me, and that was a really good lesson to learn, that don't be in competition with other businesses, you know. Just make sure that you do the best thing that you can do for your customers, and that's all. Forget about the competition, you know. Like, be in competition with yourself. You're going to be much happier at the end of the day, because the other person might have more reviews, might sell more soil bags, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't know how long ago they started. Maybe they had an investor, you know, that helped them grow much faster.
Or maybe they're not profitable.
Or maybe they're not profitable
don't know,
at all.
exactly.
It's like social media, right? It's like that you just don't know what's behind it.
Exactly.
So stop looking at all of that and just look at yourself and just create the best social media content that you can do and the best products that you can create.
Yeah, and going back to an advice for somebody that might be thinking on going in business with their significant other. I mean, I always joke that, like, don't do it if you don't have to. But if you are gonna do it, just know that it's not going to be easy. That it's going to be it's gonna be a test for your marriage. So
Yes.
That's true.
it's good because if you come out of that, you're like, okay, I think we can do life together. I mean, we have gone through so much and so many difficult decisions,
true.
and like we have each other's back all the time. So it tests your marriage a lot.
That was my next question. Is like, do you think this old experience bring you much closer than if you didn't have that experience in common?
Absolutely.
I would say so, yeah.
Absolutely, because we got to know each other on every single level.
That's true.
In and out, you know, like we got to be vulnerable in front of each other. And
Like filing for bankruptcy.
exactly.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Yeah. So definitely, it has made us definitely stronger. Absolutely, no doubt.
That's very interesting.
And like we always say like, would we do it again? You know, and I think we would do it again, obviously, but we would do it smarter now, obviously.
Yeah, and you won't make all the mistakes, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
we always say, I mean, yeah, you can say that, but the thing is that by then we didn't know what we know now.
Absolutely.
So it's the same. You have just to go through the journey. Of course, you're gonna learn there. Like you're not gonna go into it just thinking that you're gonna, know everything is just gonna be a smooth road. Like you're gonna have ups and downs, and you're just gonna have to figure it out how to overcome it. And
And
are gonna
don't
learn.
plan too much. When you want to start something, when you want to start a business, just go to the, I don't know what it was called. I think you go to the city hall to get your business open, or you can do
I
it
think
online.
you go to you can go online
Sunbiz in Florida.
and yeah, you go to Sunbiz, you open an LLC, for example,
Don't
and
think
that's
too
it.
much. Open an LLC. Use your name. Use whatever you want to do. Like, don't think too much of the name of the business, because you can do DBAs for that, right? Doing business as.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
change that constantly, right? And just do that as your first step, because if you don't go and do that, you will never do the next step.
That's true.
So the first step, get your business registered. The next step, just put it out there. Whatever you want to do, don't think about it too much. It doesn't have to be perfect. It will become perfect over time. If you have a perfect product right at the beginning, where are you going to go from there? And your customers, they gladly give you feedback,
Yeah, of course.
Just listen to it, take it, and just start. Because we talked to so many people over the last 8 or 9 years, they still haven't started their business because they overthought and they never did their first step. Just go register your business, open up a bank account, get your first checkbook, get the first credit card, and then go next step, next step, next step, next step. Easy peasy, and you'll get there. And just always adjust and adapt, adjust and adapt.
Yeah, times change, and like
Absolutely.
social media was a big deal. I feel that the people that were doing bonsai businesses before us and before social media, they kind of didn't continue, like they didn't check on that, because I remember us being like, there are not that many people creating content about it. There's nobody educating.
Right.
A lot of people in bonsai are on the older side too. So we're just like, okay, this is also a thing that we can use to our advantage and to be ahead of the game. So yeah, I would say you always have to be looking at what's happening out there and try to. I feel that a lot of people, when with changes, they're very like, oh, I don't want to get into that. Oh, another social media or something like that.
Right.
You're just like, but take it as a tool. You're like, okay, let me see how that works, what they're doing, and I'm going to do it too, and I'm going to do it better. So taking those tools that you are gonna find in the future, I don't know how the future is gonna look like, what AI is gonna do for us, but we're
Which
gonna
social
be ahead
media
of the
gonna
game.
come out.
We're gonna be seeing what's happening.
But also, don't take financial loss too serious in a business. Like, obviously, take it serious, but then kind of put it behind you and forget about it and move on. Because if you keep being stuck on your financial losses and you're like, oh, how can I recover that and all that stuff, you're not focusing on the main goal, which is
That's
to grow
true.
the business, right? Just put it behind you. You can always make more money.
Always, yeah.
Always. And so, yeah.
But that's so good what you did, because I was about to ask you what were your best tips. So you just did. It's awesome. If you want to take my place, it's perfect. So yeah, no, thank you so much, because I think we cover everything, like from working for a passion to join him and to work together. So I think it was very, very inspiring. If you have anything to conclude, it's your turn.
No, I was going to say at the end, like, having a friendship with you has also been very helpful over the years. Like talking to people, that's really, really important. Don't keep it in as a secret what you want to do. Talk to everybody that you know. Just like we said yesterday, right? Like when you say it out loud, first of all, you hear it again yourself.
Sure.
But also, you don't know like who you know. Like in your field of friends, everybody knows somebody, and everybody has an idea. Like,
Or
you
some
should do
skill.
this, or you should do that. Exactly. And so that's very important. Share your ideas.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same.
And connecting with people, I think many times we might be afraid of asking whoever you know for advice, but you will be surprised of how many people are just willing to share their
Absolutely.
experience, their knowledge, their contacts. So be out there and try to connect with people that are in your industry, or business-minded people, and listen to advice, ask questions. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because also the great people that we have met on the
Absolutely.
way has
Absolutely.
helped us also grow ourselves in the business.
And just to finish off, that when we started our business, we didn't pay any money for our website, because we found somebody, because we started sharing.
Yeah.
We knew that a friend likes to do website, and he just wanted to do a website for us. So he just did it for free so that he could practice, and we needed a website, And so, like, when we started the YouTube channel, we had a friend who had a camera, who knew how to set up, and he wanted to help us, So that way we just learned so much along the way.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
It was an amazing journey.
That's so nice. That's so inspiring. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
and
having us.
subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy that and share with many people as you want. See you soon. And thank you so much again for coming.
Thank you for having us.